Welcome back to the CIVDIV. Thank you for supporting us as we support vets. All right, so today we'll be talking about heart arrhythmia. We'll be going over what it is, how it affects vets, how it's connected to service, and how the VA rates it. So let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Whiskey 9 Yankee 7 November Golf, over.
So what is a heart arrhythmia? Basically, a heart arrhythmia is an irregular heartbeat, one that beats fast, slow, or sporadically. So you may be sitting there at a rested state. You might have a very, very fast, rapid heartbeat, or you might have an unusually slow heartbeat, or you might have kind of like a clutch, like a broken clutch-like heartbeat where it clunks a lot, or it just has a weird rhythm. So a few of those symptoms are what they call bradycardia, which is a very, very slow heartbeat, tachycardia, which is very, very fast, or a heartbeat that seems to be more powerful than it should be. I don't know if you ever heard a really, or you can hear your own heartbeat. Not like you have to check your pulse, but you can physically feel and hear that heartbeat. That's not typically normal, and that can be considered an irregular heartbeat. So depending on bradycardia, tachycardia, irregular heartbeat can really depend on the severity of. It can go barely noticeable to very, very noticeable to life-threatening. There's a couple of things that can come with that type of heartbeat: fatigue, dizziness, anxiety, developing mucus or fluid in the lungs. All of these are signs of heart arrhythmia depending on what kind that you have. It can also go into faint spells, difficulty sleeping, and difficulty staying conscious. All of these things can, again, play a big role in the symptoms of a heart arrhythmia. So for your connection to your service, quite a few things can actually cause a heart arrhythmia when we're talking about our military service. From the extreme stress of deployment to being exposed to specific toxic waste, according to a lot of the different hazards that we are introduced to during our, not to mention trauma of, say, IED blasts or many other concussive type trauma that we endure, especially if you're a part of the infantry, shooting rockets or heavy machine guns. All of those things can contribute to a heart arrhythmia. So not only are those physical things a cause for heart arrhythmia, but psychological things as well. So PTSD, all of those anxiety type mental health conditions, depression, depending on the severity of, can all cause a heart arrhythmia. So with that, you also have the exposure to burn pit and toxins. Unfortunately, heart arrhythmia is not on the presumptive list, but it is associated with a few conditions that are on the list, such as Gulf War syndrome. So you may be qualified for it if you do qualify for Gulf War syndrome. So the VA really rates your heart conditions or your heart arrhythmia based on how it affects your ability to do certain things. So when they're looking at this, they use the MET test, the metabolic equivalence test, which really is a way to base the impact of the condition on your physical capabilities, and it kind of rates how much energy a person uses during a physical activity compared to resting. So for all the intents and purposes, this is a stress test. So they have four different ratings. They have 10% symptoms at 7.1 to 10, METs or continuous medication needed. They have 30% rating at 5.1 to 7.0 METs or confirmation of cardiac issues via echocardiogram. We have 60% rating symptoms at a workload of 3.1 to 5.0 METs. And then 100% at a workload of 3.0 meds or less. Now, this is not the end all be all. There is another test or specific categories that they are rated under, and that is the treatment plan for holistic heart problems. So we have a 10, a 30, and 2 100s. Now, this is put under three different type of heart conditions first, and then we'll move into the last two. So at 10% for tachycardia confirmed by ECG with 1 or 4 interventions in a year and use of medication. And then we have 30%, the same thing, but it has 4 or 5 interventions a year. Then we're moving into the ventricular arrhythmia, which is you being admitted in the hospital and then you being put on a defibrillator or implantable defibrillator. So really it has that surgery aspect to it. And then last but not least, you have the bradycardia, which is really just requiring a pacemaker. So that pacemaker definitely will be one of the qualifying portions for that specific 100%. A lot of times it's going to be associated with a lot of mental health stuff. It can be associated with dietary issues as well. So IBS, different things like that, or gastrointestinal issues. So say you can't eat certain foods and now all of a sudden it is causing issue with your heart, or you're taking certain medications that give you a tachycardic response or a bradycardic response. All of those can be associated with heart arrhythmia, and you will be able to put in the claim for that kind of stuff. But you really have to understand the causality between the meds and the heart condition or the gastrointestinal condition to the heart arrhythmia as well. So that kind of speaks to the type of evidence you will be looking to gather, making sure that you're still hitting the big three. I know we talk about this a lot, but in-service condition, illness, etc. But if you're going after it as a secondary, that's kind of already baked in. The biggest thing for that is going to be the current diagnosis, which will be the hardest to really link the heart arrhythmia to that direct or primary condition. All right, so that's all I have for heart arrhythmia. I think it's a pretty straightforward one. I suffer from heart arrhythmia, so I definitely understand the apprehensive to go after it. But it is important for you to identify things like these, because later on down the road, when you do have to maybe eventually get a pacemaker and all that stuff, it's best to identify it now and show the progression of. So just remember the evidence, the symptoms that are associated with different things that you're going through, and this one will be a quite straightforward condition. All right, so if you found this information helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, so we can definitely get more information out to vets who need it. As always, this is Jay with the CIVDIV. Stay informed, stay resilient, and I'll see you next time.